Greetings from IAS. It is a great joy to see you back to continue our discussion on taboos. We have learned so much so far, but there's still a lot to learn. Today, we're going to discuss taboos in business. It is true that there are taboos in many different parts of our life, but this specific session, we want to focus on taboos in business. I want to start with a disclaimer that views I expressed on this program do not reflect IAS. They are simply those opinions of our participants. Therefore, if you have questions, do not send them to IAS. Do not address them to IAS. Please send them to us. And at the end of the program, we'll be sharing with you the email address where you can contact us. I have invited friends from different parts of the world this afternoon to share with us a few thoughts on taboos in business. All the four individuals we have here are very professional business people and scholars who have a lot of experience, and I'm excited to learn from them. But before we start, I want them to introduce themselves. Let's start with the first person there.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Yasmin Tuwapin. I'm from the Philippines, and I am a PhD student in business here at IS.
Welcome, Jasmine.
Hello, I'm Ken Swansea from India, but currently I'm working here in IS, teaching in the Department of Business Administration.
Welcome, Dr. Ken.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kefa Pondi from Kenya. Just completed a PhD in business.
Welcome, Dr. Kefa.
Hi, my name is Joseph. I'm from Indonesia and now taking MBA in IS.
Thank you so much. As you can hear, all of them are in business. And if we had enough time, they would have told you the extensive experience that they all have. Some have worked in the private sector, others in the public sector, I think. And so I think we're going to learn a lot. So let's go to the first question. One of the things that we find in the Adventist circles is that the love of money is a source of all evil. This verse maybe has been interpreted and misinterpreted in all different ways. But today I want you to help us. Does this mean we shouldn't go for high-paying jobs? Let me start with Dr. Kefa. We shouldn't go for high-paying jobs because the love of money is the source of all evil.
Thank you. Let me begin by saying that we need to put that verse in context, because it is the love of money which is the root of all evil. And this suggests to me that it is the purpose for which we want to acquire money that will create evil, but not the money itself. And that means that people would tend to go out and make money irrespective of the means. So the means justifies the end of getting that money. And that, to me, is different from this question that you are asking about that. Does it mean we should not go for high-paying job? I believe that we need to go for high-paying jobs because, especially for us as Christians, we have a mission that needs money. And without the money, the mission will not go on well. It reminds me of Jesus' time, the commission that was given to the disciples. They were to begin their ministry with Jerusalem. That was a capital city. They were to go and preach the good news to the business people so that these people would come into the church and bring the money that is needed for mission.
Quite interesting perspective on that. Never caught that perspective. Just hold on. Let's go to Jasmine. Should we go to high-paying jobs?
Well, I do agree with what Dr. Kefa mentioned, my answer is also to this question is no. It does not mean that we shouldn't go for high-paying job. Well, this passage from the Bible, that the love of money is the source of all evil, for me, I view it not as a warning for us to avoid God's blessings, for us to be rich, but as a warning for us to be cautious on what we value more. Is it the material things or the spiritual things?
Can you give us some examples? When would that be okay to go for high-paying jobs? And when will it be not okay to go for a high-paying job? Can you give us some examples?
We should go for a high-paying job if we see that that kind of job will not compromise us on our duty to worship God. So long as it will not compromise us that duty, we should go for it. Be blessed. Share the blessings with others and glorify God.
Let's hear from Dr. Ken, since he's right next to you. Dr. Ken, I know you have all the answers to all the questions.
No, I don't think I
Because
have all
most
the
of the
answers.
people around here have been your students. So please give us the best on this one.
You know, this verse in the Bible is a very provocative and at the same time a very insightful verse. The love of money is the source of all evil. To put things in perspective, what this verse is actually saying is that we need to get our priorities right. Money is not everything. Money can do a lot. Money is important in life, but that shouldn't be everything. For example, I agree with what Jasmine just said. We should not value money over relationships, should not value money over friends, should not value money over a fulfilling career. We should not value money over things that are spiritual and all are of lofty value.
I want to go back to the statement of not valuing money over friends. I think in most cultures, the more money you get, the more friends you get. And it's not far away from the biblical principle. The more money you get, the more needs you get. And these needs are coming from several people. So, Dr. Ken, are you telling us that actually by not having too much money, by not pursuing too much money, we will have more friends?
No, on the contrary.
How do we balance those two, friends and money?
See, on the contrary, if you have a lot of money, there are a lot of friends. You'd get a lot of friends. But at the same time, when you would lose a lot of friends if you value money over friend and over friendship. Just let me add something else. Looking at the verse, the love of money is the source of all evil. And looking at things from another perspective, from the other side, it is the lack of money which is the root of all evil.
Okay, Dr. Swansea, you have just challenged us. The lack of money is the source of all evil. Hold on to that. I don't want to, I'm going to come back to you. Let's go to our brother here from Indonesia first. I'm coming back to you. Please hold on that. Is it good to go for high-paying jobs?
Every morning, I think everyone praying for God, please bless my business, my work, everything. And actually, what is the meaning of that pray? We want blessing. Includes what? Money. So, the things that make it evil, when you got high paid, and then when you reach to the position where you receive high salary, but in the same time, your relationship with God is longer. Means that if you have high payment of a salary, it means that your time to pray, your time with family, your time with church were more and more to do the good way. When you got high payment, but you, as a professional in the city, always, okay, go to clubbing or whatever. It is, as a Christian, when we got this position, high payment, do we will do the same as others? So that's my reflection on this.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Dr. Swansea, we're coming back to you, sir. The lack of money is the source of all evil. Now, that's paraphrased, a new edition of that verse. Please help us.
I want you to look at things from a very pragmatic point of view. Where are the crimes most? In places where there is abject poverty, oppression, people living on the street, or in some of the perhaps more affluent district of a town or a city? Is the question I'm asking. Secondly, when there is a lack of money and when needs cannot be met and when there is depravity and impoverishment in the family or in the society, it is then when the devil acts the most in a person's mind. And many crimes begin not because there is too much of money, but because there is too less of it. You could contradict me on that.
I think we need a whole session on that one in the future. Bottom line on this one, can we at least agree on one thing, that we should not leave God's work for high-paying jobs solely for the purposes of enriching ourselves? I think we can all agree with that. If God's work is really, 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 really needing us, and you're the only one with a PhD in the business, and we have this school in Indonesia, and you're the only one with a PhD, and the school is about to be closed by the government, and they say we have only one PhD in this country, and that's Dr. Kefa. Please stick around until we get this accreditation. I hope that we will have at least the decision to say, let's save God's work on this one. Okay, the next question. This one I'm going to ask, I think, Jasmine and Dr. Kefa specifically to answer this to start with, because I think they have worked quite some time in the church. Is it wrong to invest church money to generate more money? When I was growing up, this was true. I just want to know if it is still true today or not. Should we invest the tithes and offerings to generate more money for the church, for God's work? Let's start with you.
Okay, is it wrong to invest church money? My answer is no. Actually, I view the act of investing as a good practice. I view it as a sign of a good stewardship. If you remember in the parable, the 10 minas parable, the master has been grateful with the servants who invested their money and bring back more profit to the king. And he punished the servant who have just hid it for no interest. So investing is good. Okay. You know, our money devalues over time because of inflation rate. Yeah. So if we keep our money in the vault or even in just savings deposit in the bank, that interest in savings deposit is not even enough to compensate the inflation rate. So inflation rate will just eat the value of the money. So it's a wise choice to invest the money. But I want to qualify my answer. I think the General Conference had already made a statement on this, that the fund manager should also be prudent when making investments, in choosing the investment portfolio. We should consider not only the expected income, but also the level of risk and the nature of the business activities of the companies where we put the money. For instance...
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, for instance, some companies are engaged in manufacturing of firearms, ammunitions. these are not consistent with the church values to promote peace. Some companies are engaged in manufacturing liquors, cigarettes. This is also inconsistent with our mission to promote health and wellness. So things like that. So I think we should be careful also where to put the money.
Thank you so much. I'm glad you brought that because I was just about to ask that question. I'm going to ask it so that we can see Dr. Kefa and then Dr. Swans to intervene on this one. A lot of the investment opportunities that were offered by the Advent system, Valic, Empower, and all this, do we know where these companies are investing our money? Some may be investing, let's say, in pharmaceutical companies. And some of these pharmaceutical companies, we know they are promoting some medications that may not go according to the Adventist health message. Some of these companies may be investing in the companies that are promoting cigarette smoking. Or even worse, maybe guns, firearms. Or they're investing, let's say, in Apple, Microsoft. And of course, when you read some of the articles, you'll find that there is a lot of abuse happening in the workplace, for example, with Apple. And we all have Apple products. How far can we control this if we are trying to invest in like a technical way of investing that Jasmine was talking about?
Okay, that's a very pertinent question to go along with the investment of church funds. And as Jasmine has said, the General Conference has given a policy guideline when it comes to investment, because as much as we want to demonstrate good financial stewardship, especially by investing the money that are at the disposal of the church to, generate more money, we have to bear the mission of the church in mind. And that basically controls our decisions on which kind of businesses we need to invest. And the General Conference is very particular on this. So when it comes to investing in stock, they are very specific. And the companies that promote the values, beliefs of the church are the ones that we encourage. And I would say that this may not just be at the organization level only, but this should also go down to individual investment decisions, because we have a mission, we have values to stand for.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Dr. Ken, you want to add something?
I just want to add, I might just like to make a comment on the third question. Is it wrong to invest church money? I sometimes am surprised that we are still asking this question, given what the Bible has to say and the parable of the talents. It makes it abundantly clear that it is wrong not to invest. It is wrong not to invest. And if you do not invest, your place is where there will be gnashing of teeth and all of the rest. See, we are too often we are hooked on trying to think, should we or should we not? When the mandate is, it is wrong not to. And if you do not invest, you'd be punished. So that is the mandate. And I think the question number 3 needs to be reframed.
Dr. Swansea, if I would just interject a little bit and add something small. From the statements of E.G. White herself, there's a reason why God designed the church as an organization to be. you know. And yeah, I think it is in Testimonies to the Church. I need to refer to the volumes. He says that the church should be run business-like.
Exactly.
Okay? So
Like that.
if it is to be run business-like, then why are we avoiding the issue of investment?
Okay, let's go to the next question. If you came from a place where people are still hesitant about investing church money, you got the answer. Let's go to the next one. And this one is makes people uncomfortable, especially in the church organization, church institutions. And we're going to start with you, Brother Joseph. Is it wrong to discuss salary when we're working for the church? Yes or no? And why?
I think
You
there
want to
is-
hire me to teach in your private university and on a church university in Indonesia. And I say, oh, sir, are you the business manager, the VP finance? Sir, let's talk about the salary first. How would you feel about that?
In professional world, that is common to discuss about salary. When you apply for this position, when you assign for this position, how much they wanna give you, what is the benefit, what is the other things that you wanna. And I think this is that is not wrong to discuss about salary, and that is common practice, and then that is also for everyone knows the standard, the points or whatever that the organization apply for the salary scale.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'm going to throw this at Dr. Swansea because I think he's been involved in hiring several times here at IAS. Sir, why is it that in most of Adventist institutions, when we send out the call for a position, open a position, we hardly ever put the salary there?
Yes.
They pay. We hardly, even at least a range, no range. We only say pay commensurate with the experience and policy.
You've raised a very pertinent question, Dr. Safari. I believe that my church, the Seventh-day Adventist Church, that I love and have very strong bonds of loyalty to, should discuss salaries very openly with the people whom it is trying to hire. I would rephrase this fourth question also. It is wrong not to discuss salaries. And second statement that I would make, I'm a very firm believer of this. It is wrong to pay a salary less than what is the market rate. If the church pays you less, then it is a reflection certain inefficiencies within the organizational system because it is not operating business-like what Dr. Keffer just mentioned. It cannot pay salaries that reflect the market values. On the other hand, I think if we as workers who are looking for employment decide to work for the church just because money, then the church is not the right place for us to work.
That's like contradicting a little bit what you had just said earlier. And I think this is a challenge for all of you business professionals, that you should make sure that our institutions and organizations pay at the same level as other organizations or businesses. Why? Because I think we are losing a lot of our church members to go out there. A lot of highly qualified members are going out there because the pay is like 5 times, 10 times more. I know a specific country that I want to name. We did research on this with one of the students from here. It was published just this year, where students, professors, find themselves actually teaching almost full-time outside this specific Adventist university because the pay at that university is 10 times less than the pay in a public university. When we have a situation like this, we face a challenge that a number of our workers, our employees may actually
Can I
from
add something to this, Dr. Safari? You know, I've worked in universities elsewhere, not just here in IS, and a couple of places where I have worked. I know that if we worked in harmony with the best business practices, and if we are prudent, like what Jasmine just said, we need to be prudent. If we are prudent and if we are good stewards, we will generate enough funds and enough resources to pay perhaps even more than what the market pays. And I'm saying this with a sense of responsibility because in one of the universities that I worked, we were able to pay higher than what the local remuneration of for a faculty was in that country. So it is possible if you manage well. It will not be possible if you are not good stewards and if you do not manage well.
Thank you so much. Just for 30, 45 seconds, Dr. Kefa, is this something that you discuss in Kenya? I know you have been leading for quite some time in the church, in the union, university. Did you give freedom to people to openly discuss salary with you?
Let me say that, just as Dr. Swansea has said, it is wrong not to discuss salaries with the people you are trying to hire because you may end up hiring people who are dissatisfied and get them to the organization. They will cause more harm than good within the organization than when you discussed with them before they came. So, I would also say that I was reflecting on the book of 1 Timothy, chapter 5, verse 17 and 18. The Bible is very clear that those that are working need to be paid a double portion. Other versions say that they need to be paid well. And therefore, in hiring, it is important that whoever you are hiring feels that they are being paid well. I remember in the sanctuary services, the bread is always there for those who are working in the sanctuary. So they should never be in want. Okay? And I think it is important that our institutions be prudently managed so that they should be in a position to pay workers well and discuss with them so that they may not come and get disappointed. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I think, I hope the business professionals that we have in this room are able to also apply these principles that we're learning today. We're going to go to the next question, and this one will go for Brother Joseph and Jasmine, since we're running out of time. Should tithe be given on gross income or net income? This is a question that I have been asking. Several people have given all different kind of answers. So I'm going to just listen to the two of you, and then we go to the next question. It will be addressed after that.
Okay, as a believers that we, especially myself, believe that all of the assets, all of the blessings from God that I have belongs to God. So why don't we just give the gross and even all to? In my place, some of them they're not only given 10%, but they practice for more than 10 from their income. I think that is that we have to believe that all the work, all the business, all the activities that is happen because of God controls, especially in our own business. So there is no doubt for me to give from gross.
All right, all right. So we give tithe from gross income. Let's see if we have a different opinion.
Well, as an accountant, I tend to analyze the nature of the income and the nature of expenses. My answer to this question depends on the type of income. If the income comes from business, I think it should be based on the net income. But if the income comes from pure compensation, it should be based on gross. Why? Let me tell you the difference. For business income, the gross income, or which we also call it sales or revenue, these are not yet the earnings of the business owners. There are other claims on that amount of money. You have to pay the suppliers, creditors, and the workers for the capital and services that they paid for or rendered for the company. So you need to deduct this. You need to pay them first, and we call it business expenses. After deducting all these claims, the remaining net profit, that is the earnings of the owner. So that should be the basis for tithe.
I like what we have learned today. I think we can. Oh, you want to add something?
Yes.
Okay, sure.
That's for business income. Okay. For compensation income, it's different. As I have said, compensation income, it should be based on gross. Why? Look at the nature of the payroll deductions. Well, other than tax, they are all personal. Let's see, this SSS or pension contributions, PhilHealth, Pag-ibig contributions. Yes, these are deducted from your salary, but after deducting from your salary, it's invested still under your account, which you can still use for your future. That's still your money. How about if I go to the accountant and tell the accountant, oh, please charge the tuition fee of my child to my salary. What else? The rent for my apartment, utility bills. These are deductions, but these are personal expenses. Of course, this will diminish my net pay. So, by nature, gross income, the gross compensation income is the total earnings of an employee. So that should be the basis of the tithe.
Wow. I think if I had heard this when I was still a student, I would have done business. This is so well articulated. The last two questions that we have are interconnected. And I'm going to start with Dr. Kefa. Why are Adventist church members generally financially challenged? This topic has been discussed here from other perspectives, but today we're talking about it from, hey, let's look at this from business. Why is it that a number of our church members really, really struggle financially?
Okay, thank you very much. I think I would want to begin by saying that that statement may or may not be true, because I have seen in many different parts of the world where Adventists are considered to be some of the richest, the cream of the society.
Can you give me one of those countries? Maybe we may want to look for, some people are going to graduate soon, may want to go to that place. What country do you have people where, when somebody says Adventist, what goes to their mind is the richest people of this country?
Thank you. Let me be silent on that for the purpose of the audience. But having said that, it is also true to note that quite a number of Adventists are financially challenged. I attribute this to a number of reasons. Why? One, I think that as Adventists, we have focused so much on the giving rather than generating. So the emphasis is on give, give, give. But we never go an extra mile to teach people how to generate income.
Stop
Yes.
right there. I wish we had a theologian here right now. Because the verse that we'll hear is give and it shall be given unto you. Give and it will return to you in double, triple, and 10 times. Is there something wrong with that verse or that theology?
There is nothing wrong with that theology. And that's what I'm stating. It is true that when you give, you will be blessed. Yeah? So we are not talking about the giving side of it. We had already discussed that. But we are saying that we have given that more emphasis than teaching people where to get the money to give. And therefore, people struggle with, the sources. So we need to focus also our theology on the sources of getting the money to give, to support the mission, and also for people to be individually blessed. Secondly, let me just add another one. A number of Adventists are also financially challenged because this is my personal opinion. In evangelistic efforts, we try to go for those who are low-income earners. Our effort to reach those with a lot of resources in their hands has not been very solid. That's what I can say. In most places, we focus on, the lower end society, those people who are actually challenged. Because I believe we are taking the message of Jesus that we need to take this message to the poor. And therefore, we took it literally, to go for membership that is poor financially, so that they can become rich spiritually but poor financially. So we need to think about that. And maybe lastly, on this, I would also say that a number of people may also not know how to manage their personal finances. So there's a problem with personal financial management, planning, and even using it, investing. So opportunities come and go, and we just remain poor.
Thank you so much. I think you have hit a lot of important points, and we're running out of time. I'm going to give each one of you 30 to 45 seconds. Keep it like that because you're business people. What should we do to get our church members out of this situation where I would say really the majority are struggling financially? We're going to start with Jasmine, and then we'll go this way, 30, 45 seconds. What should we do? Practical things to do to help our church members to improve their socioeconomic life.
Okay, one thing that I see is to make education available for the youth. If possible, if we can set up a scholarship fund especially for those young people who cannot afford schooling, that will help. So when they finish their schooling, they will be professional, build it, and they will have more opportunity to gain more also.
Okay, may I also ask that we should diversify that scholarship, because sometimes the scholarship will be only for theology, or education. And before you know it, you have 50 graduates and you have only 3 positions for them to fill. Next one.
We need to change the mindset of people. Then what they do, or how they behave, what they participate in would change. The mindset of our many of our workers is set by a wrong interpretation, a poor interpretation of the Bible. A question like, the love of money is the root of all evil. Sometimes we start preaching to people that money itself is bad, where it is an immoral thing. In fact, it is good. It's a good resource to work with. Secondly, the mindset is short-term perspective. We say, well, Christ is going to come very soon, and so let us not engage in something big. Let's live for the day. Short-term perspective. This mindset needs to change. Thirdly, the aversion for big business and investment as a matter of the world or worldly way of looking at things. That needs to change. We need to invest. We need to invest in big projects where we can generate. And when we can generate, we would give a lot more. Lastly, I want to say this. This is very important. Too often, we build a mindset in our church, in our children, that, well, entrepreneurship is bad. Perhaps you can work for the Lord only if you work for the church. If you set up your own business, you are actually lost. That's the mindset. That's the mindset. If we encourage our young people to take up entrepreneurship and entrepreneurial thinking, we will be able to change the mindset, which will reflect in the socio-economic development of our people. And they would be not only prosperous, they would be happier, perhaps be able to support the church more.
Thank you so much. Very well said. Very practical things that we can use. Dr. Kefa, 30
I
seconds.
think in addition, I would mention that we need to have financial literacy in the church that will empower members in terms of personal financial management, investment opportunities that are available, and we need to take advantage of those opportunities. In addition, I think especially amongst the youth, we need to think about entrepreneurship and form maybe some kind of business clubs to take advantage of the business opportunities that may be existing. We need to become creative and innovative. Let me say lastly that Solomon was very explicit in this. He says in Ecclesiastes that money is the answer. For us to move forward as a church, we need money for mission. And therefore, church members need to engage in economically productive businesses to support the mission.
Thank you so much. The last intervention.
Wow, I think it's covered all. But my point is entrepreneurship among church members should be as a movement now. So now, as an organization, it is not focused only for stewardship only, but make it in entrepreneurship life. I mean, for especially how we can create this financial challenge members that all over in the world now to be more in production rather than just waiting now for, because I really believe that in my country as well, on the 80s, 70s, they go to the remote places. And then now the members, mostly they are coming from the low income backgrounds. And then we are thinking now how to operate the church now with the very limited resources. So this is the time for the organization to take care of entrepreneurship issues.
Thank you so much. We have learned so much from different issues that we face with business. Some of the topics that we consider taboo, like salary, discussing the salary, or even generating income, have been made clear to us. I want to thank you so much for being with us today. If you have questions, please email us at united@ias.edu. Again, that is the email. If you have comments or suggestions or questions, please email us, and we'll try to find the answer for you. Until we meet for the next program, we want to encourage you to remain united in diversity. Thank you.